think we're live. And don't mind the slightly subdued energy. It's just because it's hot. We went to the park. My app said it was 77. Well, it feels like it's 77. My car said it was 84. I'm much more likely to believe my car. It was also, like, we saw squirrels, but we saw one blue jay, and blue jay didn't come for a peanut. We saw one woodpecker, and whether I got a picture, I got a couple of pictures of the woodpecker. Whether or not they're going to come out, I don't know. But he caught the peanut in the air and disappeared. Like, disappeared. We have no idea where he went. We heard him hit the peanut, so we know he caught it, because the peanut did not hit the ground, and then he was gone. So we don't know, like, if he, flipped a U-turn, and we don't know. just like, but we did find out that there are 7 pairs of hawks that hunt in Myers Park. That is really cool. We were walking down the road, and a guy was walking, and I guess he must be one of the people that, part of the crew that maintains the parks. As he said, you have a tail. And we turned around and there were 4 squirrels following us. We were like, wait, what? And so he told us that apparently somebody complained. Why can't they get rid of the squirrels in the park? And one, that's just ridiculous. I mean, the squirrels have every right to live in the park. They're part of the ecosystem, and 3, there are 7, and he said, well, what would I do to, what would I feed my hawks? And apparently she was like, hawks? You have hawks? 7 pairs. So that's just really cool, because we do see hawks in the park on a somewhat regular basis. We also see hawks in our neighborhood, so they probably are the same, the hawks that we've seen in our neighborhood probably hunt in Myers Park too. So it's just really cool. All right, let's do the housekeeping so we can get on with this, because you're not here to listen to me blather on about squirrels. So the housekeeping is just me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. Website is creativelife.org. Constant contact, email, info@creativelife.org. That'll get you 1 email a week. Tells you what's going on for the week and the month, and the hot links are hot. So click here now means it. I don't know what I was about to say. It is also a blind CC, which means nobody will see your email. You won't end up on anybody else's email list because of us. So good information to have. And I will mention the social media merely from the standpoint of we do not monetize the social media. We don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So we ask you instead, go like, subscribe, follow, based on which platform you're on, and then engage with the individual post by reacting, commenting, sharing. It bumps us in the algorithms. More people see our stuff. And, yeah, it's a free and easy way that you can support the center. I don't know where my brain just went. So, yeah. All right, Hidden Power of the Bible. Used to be called The Bible in Light of Religious Science. I also like to point out, it is not a very big book. So, Ernest is only pulling out the parts that he thinks are particularly relevant today. Now, notice I said particularly relevant. That's not saying that the whole Bible isn't relevant. It's just he's focused on some very specific parts of it. We are currently working our way through Matthew. We are not reading all of Matthew. He is pulling individual things out of each chapter. So we're not even reading the whole chapters. But what he is pulling out are the teachings of Jesus. Now, he did do the creation story. He did do, all of that. He's just going to spend most of his time, and we're about halfway through now. He's just going to spend most of his time focused on the teachings of Jesus. Ernest was a Christian. He followed the teachings of Christ. He followed, apparently originally it was called The Way, which cracks me up now because, if you've seen any of The Mandalorian, that's what they call their faith. The way. This is the way. That is, you follow the way of Jesus. You do what Jesus did. I know a whole lot of Christians that don't. But I didn't say that out loud. So, I did. And I'll stand behind it, but... Okay, so what we are doing today is Matthew 17. And since there are 2 articles, neither of them particularly long, we're going to go ahead and do those. And then tomorrow we'll do Matthew 18. Because he's getting shorter and shorter as he gets further into these. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so Matthew 17. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed. For oft times he has fallen into the fire and oft into the water. And I have brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and persevere. Persevere? Perverse. Okay. Yep. Okay. So, and then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. And then the disciples came to Jesus apart and said, Why could we not cast him out? And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove. And nothing shall be impossible for you. Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. Okay, that's Matthew 17. So now we're going to start with prayer and fasting. In the healing of the lunatic, when his disciples failed, Jesus showed that the more real the apparent separation from good, the more certain we should be that with God all things are possible. Okay. The more real the apparent separation from good, the more certain we should be that with God all things are possible. Some ideas are gotten rid of only through fasting and prayer. But we are not to suppose that the physical act of fasting or the metaphysical act of prayer can move the throne of grace to a kindness which is otherwise withheld. God placed no favorites, and the law of the universe cannot reverse its own nature. Fasting and prayer often do bring our thought closer to reality, but not because of the fasting or the prayer, but because they open up greater fields of receptivity in our mind. If one wishes to embody an ideal and is willing to give up all else to attain it, then they are fasting and praying. They are sublimating an old idea with a new and better one. If they are willing to abstain from the old and cling to the new, then they are giving greater reality to the new, and in this way contracting the law from a more affirmative angle. A steadfast determination to attain the same purpose, the letting go of all that opposes it, a complete reliance upon the law of good, and an unqualified trust in the Spirit. This is the true fasting and the real prayer. The scientist, in profound thought and meditation before their problem, deserting all to solve it, is praying a true prayer to the principle of their science. The poet, waiting in the silence of their own soul for inspiration, is praying that they may invoke the spirit of poetry to their listening ear. The sculptor, chiseling at their marble, withholding food from their mouth, contemplating on the beauty to be brought forth from naught, prays to their god of art. And the farmer, kneeling beside their cabbage patch, trusts in the law of good to bring their seed to harvest. We live in a fasting and praying world, but often do not read the signs aright. We are too used to an outward sign to realize its inward significance. The world is much better than it knows or feels itself to be. Okay. All right. There's a lot in that, and I'm gonna put the book down for a minute, and we're gonna talk about this fasting and praying, because there are a lot of people who fast and pray, and they do it for appearance's sake without doing the actual work. And so what he's saying is it's not the fasting and the praying, the actual act of fasting and praying that makes it work. It's the idea of fasting from what you are letting go of and praying to what you are bringing into. We say where your attention goes is where your power is going. So you are fasting from what you don't want and putting your attention, i.e. praying, to do what you want, for what you do want. And there's no, so it's not really about fasting and praying. It's not about food and, writing prayers, even though praying is a good thing. It's about letting go of the old and putting all of your attention on the new. Yeah. That's something that I'm going to go away and think about because, I am not an advocate for fasting. Because I get crabby when I don't eat, but I get what he's talking about. I see where he's coming from in the fasting and the praying. And he's got 2 short paragraphs on healing the lunatic. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. And then I'll wrap this up. So healing the lunatic. What majesty and might do we see in the calm words of Jesus? Bring him hither to me. No doubt in here, no sense of approaching failure, no lack of trust in the perfect law which governs all. And Jesus rebuked the devil and he departed out of him. Surely this lesson should teach us that evil is but an obsession and from the standpoint of eternal reality, a complete illusion. Can we cast out evil from our thought if evil were a real entity or an actual power? The answer is self-evident. We could not. Evil flees before reality, and to the mind which knows it, evil is not. Evil is but an obsession. That's one of the reasons why we say evil isn't a power in and of itself. It is a misuse of a power. Because God's power, we like to call it good. And I do believe that. I do believe that it is good. But you also have to think about it like electricity. The law is neutral. As we like to say, it's no respecter of persons. The law is very neutral. It will, what you put to it is what it's going to do. And if you misuse it, then that is what the evil is. It is you misusing the power. You misusing your creativity. You misusing that gift from God. So, Jesus was like, of course Jesus wasn't worried about it. Because Jesus knew who he was. He knew that he was a beloved child of God. He knew that he was one with God. He knew that the same creative power that God is flowed through him. So, and the disciples hadn't gotten there yet. So, but evil is an obsession. It's a misuse of power. It is not a power in and of itself. And frankly, knowing that, it's a lot more comforting. So, all right, like I said, I'm going to wrap this up. And we will pick up Matthew 18 tomorrow and see how far we get. I'll take a glance at the articles and see that. So, all right, that's it. I'm going to encourage you now to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day. I'm going to have a catter day. I hope to curl up on the couch and cuddle with my cats. Whether any of them will cooperate, well, that'll be the trick. I do encourage you to drink plenty of water, be aware of the heat, stay out of the sun between between 1 and 7. I think that's the warning they're giving us here. because it is going to be a hot one today. So be aware of the heat day. Take care of yourself day. Make sure you make time to sit down and rest day. You do something just for you day. A learn a new fact day about your area, i.e. there are 7 pairs of hawks that live in my neighborhood, meaning Myers Park day. Do something just for yourself day. Listen to some good music day. Do what you got to do day. Make sure you make time to rest day. I'm going to take a nap day. A good day. And if that is too much pressure, because occasionally it is, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, divine spark, spirit in motion, God in action, an absolutely beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. And, as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. And from there, anything is possible. Anything at all is possible. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move on to the process of my day. So I'm going to remind you that Reverend David should be on sometime this afternoon. And then I'll be... So I'm reading the Essential Ernest Holmes for that class. So I'll try and do that around 3:30, and then David will be on that this afternoon, and then I'll be back in the morning to do Matthew 18. So that's the programming notes. So take care of yourself. Know that